Hello and welcome to Avenging Past 7. Today is day 135 of our free-to-play farming guide. And I think that we are going to continue the Bad Batch discussion. Now for those of you who also watch Logan Courageous, you will have seen his discussion points yesterday, if you watched his video from yesterday, which was mostly bouncing off of a comment that he had received on the previous day's video discussing Bad Batch. But he had messaged me and told me that, my video discussing it had given him some points as well and some ideas, and we were bouncing off of each other some with that. And some thoughts that I've had about it have been twofold, and I might be repeating myself a bit from yesterday. One of the biggest reasons I think that Bad Batch suffers where Clone Wars flourished, and I believe I did mention this a bit yesterday, is that with Bad Batch, your main characters are Obi-Wan, Anakin, Ahsoka, and Rex. And when the four of them have an episode together, when the four of them open an episode, you know this episode is going to be a big episode. It's going to be one that pushes the story along. It's going to be one that has some big points in it and stuff. It's going to be your grandiose episode. When it's an episode that starts with Jar Jar and C-3PO, you know it's going to be one of your smaller episodes. It might not push the main story along. It might be good. You might hate it. But you know it's one of the smaller episodes. When Bad Batch episode starts, you're going to see Echo, well, maybe not anymore, but you're going to see Hunter, Wrecker, Tech, Omega, Echo, and you know this is, well, you would assume this is going to be an episode that pushes the story along. These are the main characters. But it might not be. It might be a story that is just a small, contained story. They meet a person, help the person out, Omega makes a friend, and you move along. And that's all there is to it. It might be an episode that is big, bold, and really moves the story along. But you don't know when the episode starts. You don't really know. Because those are the main characters of the story, and those are the characters in every episode. And so when you get a small episode in the Bad Batch, it can feel like you're missing out on a big episode because it almost feels like you're wasting time with the main characters. Oh man, 3 sharks, that was nice. And I think that's one of the big things with the Bad Batch, is it's not bouncing around the galaxy and expanding the galaxy as a whole. It's expanding the galaxy as a whole with the same characters every week. And sometimes it's a small episode. And so it feels like you're missing out on a big episode. So that was one point. The next point Logan hit on a little bit is the first 2 seasons of Clone Wars don't have a lot of big episodes. I mean, they have a lot of good episodes, and that is a good show. It is a good couple seasons. But they are still the first 2 seasons where they're trying to find their place. They're trying to find what works. They're testing a lot of things. And they make multiple episodes with annoying characters that people might not like. I believe the Bomb Bad Jedi episode is in the first 2 seasons. I think it's in the first season when I was looking over it yesterday. Bomb Bad Jedi, in case you're not remembering, was Padme and Jar Jar, and I believe C-3PO. And Jar Jar, they go to, I believe, the Gungan homeworld, not Gungan, the Rodian homeworld. And Jar Jar impersonates a Jedi to fight, I believe, Newt Gunray. It was an interesting episode, and I would watch it again. But could say it was annoying. And then here's my other point that I wanted to talk about, because my other point goes back to Rebels. I quit watching Rebels, I believe in the middle of season 2 as it was releasing. It was too childish. It wasn't a big enough story for me. I didn't understand it, and so I quit. And then I heard that there's a really good episode with Ahsoka and Darth Vader, so I went and I watched that episode. And then I heard that there's a really good episode with Darth Maul and Obi-Wan, so I went and I watched that episode. And then I heard there was time travel in the ending, so I was confused by that. But Rebels, I believe, is 4 seasons. Let's see. How many seasons in Star Wars Rebels? 4. Yes, it is 4 seasons. And those first 2 seasons are very childish. Very childish first 2 seasons. But the story moves along. You might not see it at first, but the story moves along. You see the characters grow a relationship with each other. You see the characters fight with each other. You see their view on the galaxy and on the Empire change over time. You see them meet people and make friends that they then go through to use and utilize later on in the show when they need friends and they need help. Now, a lot of people probably skipped out on Rebels because it starts very slowly. It starts as a small show. But the Bad Batch is doing the same thing. Now, the Bad Batch has had some better starts, some bigger episodes from the beginning, but it's still happening. In Season 2, we are slowly seeing their view on the galaxy as a whole change. We're slowly seeing their view on Sid change. I think by the end of the season, they will not be working for Sid. I do not think they will be working for Sid by the end of the season. They might even be working for Fulcrum by the end of the season, which would be amazing. I think that would be awesome to bring in Fulcrum to utilize Bad Batch. Fulcrum, who Hera makes friends with. Because, see, Hera has to meet Fulcrum. Hera has to meet Ahsoka at some point. Now, Hera's still a child right now, as we saw in the first season. But the Bad Batch know Ahsoka. Or the Bad Batch know Hera. And the Bad Batch also know Rex, who knows Ahsoka. So they have a chance of cross-meeting through that. And they might meet Hera at some point, who they realize really needs help because Hera wants to do something good. She wants to fight back against the Empire. And they know someone who is organizing a group to fight back against the Empire. So we might see them also be the start of the rebellion. Be a part of the start of the rebellion. I'm not going to win this. Which would be amazing. It'd be awesome. But we have to get there. And see, for us to get there, they as a whole group have to realize they want to fight back against the Empire. They don't want to keep doing small jobs, which we are seeing right now. See, even in these small episodes, we are seeing a big change across their view on the galaxy and on the Empire. We just have to get there. And it feels like nothing's happening. But stuff is happening. Their view on the galaxy is changing. It's slow. It's not all at once, which sure. But the thing is those things like that don't happen all at once. They happen across seasons. Dave Filoni knows how to write an anthology story. He knows how to write a story that you bounce around the galaxy to tell it. You bounce around characters and different planets. He knows how to do that. But he's not wanting to do that anymore. Except that the way he's wanting to do that is through many different shows, if that's still what he's wanting to do. Because if you think about it, Andor is about the start of the rebellion. Bad Batch could become part about the start of the rebellion. If you look at what's there, if you look at who they're meeting, and how their view on the galaxy is changing. Now he's also working on The Mandalorian, which is after the rebellion. But again, it's a different story that he's wanting to tell, and he's helping tell. Ahsoka's going to be a continue. He's still telling an anthology, a story that bounces around. But the way he's telling is through multiple shows at once, rather than all in one show. He's still doing what he's good at. He's still doing what we want and what we love, but he's doing it through multiple shows rather than all at once. Bad Batch is a good show. It has its slow moments, sure. But the slow moments are part of the storytelling that Dave Filoni is excellent at. Just look at Avatar: The Last Airbender. Dave Filoni was a big part of that show. It's where he got his break. His big break. It's where he started that before George Lucas picked him up for Clone Wars. There'd be small episodes that would... The only point of the episode was for them to meet someone that would help out later on. That was the only point of that episode. Or the only point would be for them to see how people are being affected by the Fire Nation and change their view on the Fire Nation a little bit more. Or solidify their view on the Fire Nation. It'd be a small episode. It wouldn't be a game-changing or show-changing episode. It would be small, but it would be impactful. It's the same thing that's happening here. We're watching them change their viewpoint. If you look at it, this show is just Avatar: The Last Airbender. We got a group of people. We got one person who is really special and we don't know why. Outside of, it's a female clone of Boba Fett. And she has, you know, she's different than all the rest of the clones, and we don't know what they did differently with her. And they are wanted by the Empire, and they're having to hide and do small jobs and make it through. Well, that's what Avatar: The Last Airbender was. This show is the same as Avatar: The Last Airbender. Dave Filoni worked on that. Dave Filoni's working on this, or is in charge of this. It's a great show, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I think we're a little under halfway through. I think next week is the midpoint of the show. I hope that they, you know, push along Omega's story more, and that, you know, they send another bounty hunter after them, and we get to find out more about Omega's origin. Why was she created? What is so special about her? Because season 1 was all about she's special, and the Empire or the clones really want her. I'm not even sure if the Empire knows that she is special. She could have been ordered by something completely different that Palpatine was not a part of. I don't know. But it's interesting. But I want to hear your thoughts. What are your thoughts on all that? What are your thoughts on where the show is going? Because we don't know where the show's going. With Clone Wars, we knew where it was going. Whether we would see the end of it or not, we knew the ending of the Clone Wars was Clone Wars from 2003 that goes right into Revenge of the Sith. We knew Revenge of the Sith was the end. Now we know, but we don't know anything about this. We don't know where this is going. Potentially, I think it could be going, I'm starting to think it could be going towards the creation of the rebellion. It's, you know, they could be the linchpin, the meeting point of all these people who formed the rebellion. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm excited to see where it goes. Hopefully we get to see it. Hopefully this doesn't get a treatment similar to Clone Wars, where they ended and then have to revive it and then have to have a final season and all of that. We waited so long for Clone Wars, which my favorite part of Clone Wars was the finale, was seeing it really meet up with the Revenge of the Sith and seeing all these things come together, just like what happened with Clone Wars from 2003 with T'Challa. Because I loved that show. I loved how they did everything with that. But those are just my thoughts. Those are my views. I'd love to hear what all of y'all think about it. And what y'all think about my theories, my defenses of the show. I'd love to hear it. So y'all comment down below. Let me know. Let's see, what am I missing? Enhanced One Ship and Dark Side Battles. Okay, I'll get to those a little later. But with all of that, y'all have a great day. Let me know down in the comments below. And may the Force be with you.